Orange's turn to ban. Dire team ban.
Alright, folks, welcome back to the RedBull ECL 2013 Group C Group Stage play. Coverage brought to you by Beyond the Summit 2. This is the group stage, so the top 2 teams in each of the groups will advance to the LAN final July 12th through 14th. That'll be covered on the main Beyond the Summit stream from the BTS studios in California. Here from the non-BTS studios in non-California, I'm Vikrman. My co-caster today is Baseskip. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, we are definitely not, I guess, BTS studio, but it's been some enjoyable Dota, and looking forward to more. I wish they would update the standings at the top, but I guess that's just a little gripe. Maybe someone should bring that up with the admins. Who knows?
I tried to bring it up. My Mandarin's very, very bad, so I couldn't explain it in a satisfactory fashion. And if I explained it in English, it might be the same issue, but in reverse. So I'll give it another shot today. I don't think they quite know to do the pips, but we'll try to get that up soon. But yeah, you're completely right. Just to anyone who's just started watching, this is Game 2 of Orange versus ErH. All of the group stages are best of 3, so this is going to be either the end of the series, or we could go to the third game if ErH managed to take one off of Orange. But Orange is up 1-0 heading into Game 2. Batrider up for Orange already, and Clockwork just locked up by ErH now that it's not first phase ban.
Yeah, so ErH, again, I feel like it's a bit of a trap to lock into, melee heroes super early on. And there's always this trend where obviously you kind of feel comfortable with the hero that you played in the game before, so sometimes you have a bit of a tendency to keep drafting it. I wouldn't mind seeing Clockwork Darkseer. It's obviously a very strong combo if you can work it right, and there's a lot of situations where you run the Darkseer in either jungle and you have the Clockwork, 1v1, and you can win that setup. But again, I think melee heroes early on is kind of a trap, and when you're up against Orange, I think you need to play every advantage that you can get. And VS, nice.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. She synchronizes quite well with the Clockwork in some respects as well.
She works really well against Batrider is the thing that I've been... So this is something that I've been talking about for a while, but VS hasn't really been that popular. She's honestly not amazingly strong, so I can sort of understand why she hasn't been picked up for this. But the really nice thing with Swap is that if somebody gets... either Batrider needs to lasso you,
right,
which is kind of a waste of a lasso.
Because you're lassoing VS, yeah.
Yeah, or if VS decides, I'm happy with where my carry is, so my Sven or my Gyrocopter's in the middle of the enemy team,
sure,
you can swap the Batrider, you can kill him, and your AoE carry goes to work.
Sure.
Or you can swap your carry and save them as well to immediately break the lasso. So
yeah, because of
really
course,
nice.
If they travel a certain amount of units, the lasso will just auto break, and yeah, you can definitely just swap it out and have that as completely neutering Batrider. I like this a lot, honestly. I think you're completely right that it's very, very effective. I think VS is pretty strong these days. I mean, the main 2 deficiencies with her were horrible base strength, like she was one of the least tanky heroes out there, and the swap, you needed levels to actually have any sort of range on it. But those are the 2 things that IceFrog improved. The level 1 and 2 Nether swap had a little bit longer range, and the base strength got improved, so she's not so completely... She doesn't die at the slightest breeze. I don't know if that makes her second pick worthy, but it certainly makes her, I think, a good choice against Bat.
I mean, I feel like, they probably didn't have to take the VSs as early as they did, so that's probably a little bit of a drafting mistake. Yeah. But I mean, it's sort of reactionary in terms of the draft, so that's not great. And you don't want to be you don't want to be just reacting to whatever the enemy team takes, because they can start to move you in a particular direction. So yeah, I think it's a very fair criticism to say that VS probably would have made it through to 5th pick if they wanted it.
Yeah, I think honestly they could take it something like 4th and be okay. And I totally agree with you, Basecap. I think actually it's a totally fair cop that this is primarily a reactive draft so far. Even this Queen of Pain pick, I think, could be construed as it's more to not let Mushi have it than it is that ErH love this hero. I'm sure that Young plays, anybody that plays TA also plays Queen of Pain. That's just a general rule. It's heroes that have a similar sort of outlook on the world. They're onto their philosophies are aligned, but I think this is just as much about making sure that Mushi doesn't go on it again, because that's what Orange would typically do. They don't really put Mushi on the bat so often. It's usually going to be KY, XY, or Ohio on that. Usually Ohio, I think, and then Mushi on something in the mid. Or even on the gyrocopter, for that matter, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got plenty of different configurations, and all their players are generally quite flexible, so it means that you can kind of... I think they can kind of draft whatever they want and end up finding some way to play it, which is always a nice thing as a captain, obviously. So, I'm just trying to read in a little bit more to the bans here, but I can't really figure out that much. We're going to pick up a Luna, so we have mad aura stacking going on between VS and Luna.
Between the Vengeful Spirit and the Luna, this is actually a pretty huge mid-game damage potential. Because of the aura effect, I actually think Luna preempts Gyrocopter for damage. So if they can survive a little longer than they did last time, they'd be in great shape. But Orange with the Sand King, and this is a hero that all the Southeast Asian teams love in the first place, and I honestly feel that as subtle as that 1.5 second Sandstorm change was, it actually makes him hugely more viable in my eyes. Get like a quick boots, and just come out of whatever jungle angle you want in stealth, and just use your Burrow. It gives Burrow Strike like basically 2 seconds of Sand King walking effective extra range.
Yeah, so... I don't know what else to say.
I don't know. So
ErH, I really want to see them pick up another ganking support, because they've got this situation where you can leave the Luna in lane, you can leave the Quap in lane, and you can leave the Clockwork in lane, and no matter which lane you go to with your 2 ganking supports, you should always be able to pick up a kill. So I'm really hoping that they'll make use of the fact that VS has one of the best level 1 stuns in the entire game, and they'll go and try and get some stuff done.
I would love for them to take a more aggressive version. They almost went in for that first blood last time, and I almost think maybe they should have just to try to set the game on their terms. But in this game, I think Orange might just play super conservatively, because I feel that ErH, it's going to be very, very easy to first blood this game. Between Magic Missile, the effect of Lunar Blessing on a full team of heroes at level 1, and just the Clockwork, they could honestly get like 2, maybe even 3 kills right off the bat, and it would be difficult for Orange to respond.
The terrifying thing is that if you don't get first blood, sticky napalm means that you're going to get wiped. Like if you lose the first blood, if you get first blooded, the only person who can escape is the Quap if she picks up Blink. And
that's very
because
true.
Otherwise Batrider is just going to chase everybody down. So it's a gamble, but you know, ErH, if you feel like you're behind, if you feel like you're the team that maybe isn't favored, and especially if you're getting psyched out because you are playing against Orange, you know, the Orange or something like that, maybe go for the risky plays. You know, try and get something going.
Yeah, I think so. I think if they at least can show that you're not afraid, or maybe cover up the fact that you are afraid by just diving right in there. I think that they could get the first blood. They do have the capacity to, since they are on Dire, if you do have the fight somewhere in the eastern half of Radiant Jungle, at least some people will be able to get away to the tier 1 at least. Batrider can't dive too far past tower just because he doesn't have the total hit points to live to too many hits of it, so they might be okay. Luna does have amazing base movement speed, so even with a couple stacks of napalm, she can probably get out even if the rest of the team doesn't. Of course, yeah, I mean, it's still scary. You've got Leshrac, Sand King, they can respond with a bunch of stuns, and we'll see what Orange actually fill out with, because they don't have... Alright, it is that Windrunner, so farming Windrunner, I think? Or actually, no, Mushi Windrunner in the mid, most likely.
They could even be running their Windrunner tri-lane as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, Mushi's picked it up, so I guess it's not going to be the case. But it is kind of a thing for Orange, I guess, as well. They'll have Windrunner as the primary farmer in the tri-lane, back her up with 2 stuns, and that often works out quite well.
But I don't think they'll run Gyro mid here. It does happen sometimes. It would be an interesting choice. I have actually seen teams do this, and if any team would do it, it would be Orange, but just from which players are on which heroes, I think it's more likely it's just going to be Windrunner up against the Queen of Pain. Not a terrible matchup for Windrunner, just because of she has very good range, so she can sit back, and if Quap tries to tower dive her, Shackle Shot and win. So
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and great animation as well, so that always
definitely
always plays in for mid. So I'm interested to see whether Mushi's going to go for another very heavy stats build, or whether or not he's going to go for go for maybe a more I guess less conservative but Bomber Rush. Nope, it's It's exactly the same deal. 2 salves, and as many stats as you can carry.
Oh yeah, he's definitely stacking up the stats, and I think this is smart for the Windrunner. Orange, trying to take this 2-0, trying to move on through Group C as briskly as possible, get themselves to the LAN finals as the only team in the entire tournament that's not just Chinese and of 5 Chinese players, but they'll try to take this out. Tri-lane will be composed of KYXY on the Gyrocopter, Net on the Sand King, and Extinct on the Leshrac. Ohio going up on what looks to be probably a jungle Bat Rider, and Mushi as the mid-Windrunner.
Yep, and over on the side of ErH, we have Yang playing the side lane Queen of Pain. We've actually got Mao heading towards mid on Clockwork, Bottle Rush ready for him, and then up on top we have AS playing the Luna. We've got YR on the Rubik, and last but certainly not least, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to be on the VS. So, interesting, an off-lane Queen of Pain, not what I was expecting, and I think Mushi's going to have a very happy time against the Clockwork on mid, so we'll see how that ends up playing out.
Yeah, what do you think the theory is here actually for ErH? Is there something to the Queen of Pain being on the off lane that's going to be better for them? Like what's their thought here?
I'm honestly not sure. They might have thought that. Well, no. See, here's the thing. I was saying that maybe they thought that Orange were going to look to run the. Well, yeah, run the aggressive tri lane with a solo safe lane Gyrocopter and then a mid bat.
Yeah.
And then what Clockwork would have been solo against the Gyrocopter, and that's an awful lane for Clockwork. There's just nothing that he can do at all. So maybe they were looking for that 1v1, but Jan picks up Blink to start, which suspects that he doesn't think it's going to be a 1v1, so it looks like the plan from the get-go was just to go for the 3v1 Quap, but it's certainly not where I'd like to see the hero, so we'll see how it ends up working out for ErH here.
Yeah, this is a difficult lane for Quap. Actually, exceedingly difficult. Nice dodge of the split earth, but here comes Homing Missile. Actually will land. Young could already be in a tiny bit of trouble. No, he's alright, but Queen of Pain is really going to struggle in this solo lane. As soon as they decide that Net has enough levels to rotate over, I don't see how Young actually lives in this lane. I mean, sometimes Blink, if you're one-on-one with a gyro, I think it's sometimes still correct to take the Blink, just because if he somehow gets the jump on you, you need a way to exit Rocket Barrage range, because Queen of Pain's base strength is only 16. But in a 1v3 context, this is going to be quite brutal, and Mao's not going to have the easiest time mid against Mushi either. Actually, if he lands the Cogs here, it could be... Oh, he doesn't have Cogs. Okay. He's got Rocket Flare and Battery Assault, so... Not sure about that, actually, but he's doing okay so far. Certainly better than Yang is feeling. Actually, Queen of Pain rotating over. She just has Blink, though. Not really any ganking tools that this Queen of Pain has. She would need at least level 2. Maybe she'll try to steal some XP from Ohio? I'm not even sure. Here's the rotation over. Orange sees this. And yeah, it's just Yang sort of casually strolling across with his... is this the TPL set? Yeah, it is. No, he cheated. He has way too many games viewed on this TPL set. Yeah,
that is... It's quite a few. How many? Do you know how many games have actually been played?
They have not had 83 games.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't been following it as closely as I should. I have the ticket, but
sure.
Yeah, I just haven't been...
Yeah, Yang is a dirty little cosmetics cheater. I'm going to report him to the Premier League authorities.
Okay, so ErH are bringing everyone to Mushi. It's 4v1 on mid, or it's just about to be, so we'll see if this game connects.
Yeah, Mao, he does have that
I think he's gone.
Mushi in. YR is here. I mean, the entire freaking team is here. Vengeful Spear with the magic missile. And that will be First Blood. First Blood is always good to have, but is this worth the amount of resources they delegated to it?
I mean, I feel like they just committed 2 minutes of the game there, right? 30 seconds from everyone, so... I don't know, you get the kill on Mushi, you help out the Clockwork a little bit, and, you know, Clockwork is a hero that can pay it forward as well. Once he gets level 6, he can go pick up a kill on another lane, so that's always nice, but...
That's true.
I mean, Mushi's going to be straight back into it, and even with that death, he's still a long way ahead in terms of CS.
And it's not as if AS really needs the help up top, so it's okay for them to leave Luna alone, because, I mean, frequently we see Luna run as that solo safe, so he's going to be quite comfortable. Actually, the lane a little bit pushed in farther than he'd like, so maybe that's the thing that the supports aren't doing. But here they go, an attempt on Mushi again, and this is like that game that we saw Orange do earlier in the week. There's the Magic Missile, there's the Telekinesis to lift up. The Cogs actually does not trap Mushi, so he's on his way out. He does have that level 2 of Wind Run. That'll be up in about 6 seconds. Are they calling off the chase? Vengeful Spirit no longer having the mana. Dodges the power shot, so that's actually a good step. Rubik, no mana either, though. Mushi using Wind Run. He's going to go up to the high ground, just bottling back up, and second gank not going quite as well as the first. The Cogs trap didn't come off, and I think ErH realized after that the odds of getting a second kill were somewhat slim. Mushi, meanwhile, dueling out with YR. YR has to be careful here. He has no mana and not really the health pool to duel Mushi here. A power shot would take care of this. Maybe even auto attacks. He does power shot for the last hit, and that's definitely not what he wanted. Vengeful Spirit, she does not have the stun, needs 8 more mana. Luna's all the way back here. How do they actually catch Mushi here? He needs 4 more mana now. Ohio throwing out the sticky napalm. Mao is forced to disengage at this point. He may have to Cogs just to escape. He's running. Here comes Net. The Sand King actually has the invisibility rune. Will they Burrow Strike? He's got rank 2. Mushi and Ohio, they're walking up. There's the Burrow Strike, shutting down Mao a little bit. Another stack of sticky napalm, and the last hit from the Sand King. Now a lot of trouble for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vengeful Spirit. She doesn't have the health pool. Even her new improved health pool. Mushi missing the power shot, but hardly matters. Mops it up with 1 more auto attack, and ErH, just a lack of, in the final reckoning, just not quite enough coordination to pull that second gank off. Not quite enough mana, actually.
And, I mean, talking about coordination, I really feel like they made a couple of little mistakes on mid that meant that they didn't get the kill on Mushi. There was this moment of panic where they thought Winner was going to be able to win run away from the gank, so they both supports threw their stuns at the same time, and they actually ended up stacking the stuns, which meant that they couldn't get the cogs, which meant that they didn't get the kill. So, you know, just a little bit of communication helps to fix that, and it sort of prevents that whole Benny Hill scene that we just had up near the top runes. Yeah, just, you know, a little mistake becomes a really big deal once, yeah, overall.
I think ErH a fairly new team. Just the fact that they're not just having the floor totally wiped with them, I think, is already a pretty... If you're up against Orange, a TI3 invitee team, one of the strongest teams in the world by anybody's metric, I think it's okay to sometimes get caught a little bit flat-footed. They did at least get the first kill off on Mushi. I don't know if they'll try again, frankly, simply because the second went so calamitously for them. But they do lift up Ohio. A little bit of damage going through. Eclipse is available, but they need to get the range. And Ohio's seeking to respond. No, they didn't wait for the range. The Eclipse actually ends up totally whiffing. Ohio does leave, but that's all they get is a temporary reprieve. Even as Mushi, with the haste rune, rotates over. He's got rank 3 power shot, so keep in mind this could be quite dangerous. And Luna trying to make her way out of this, but already 1 stack of sticky napalm. Uses the magic wand, definitely the right approach. Flame Break pushes her towards the tower. That's definitely a good sign. YR, however, I don't think he'll be so lucky. 1 more last hit from Mushi will do the trick there. Ohio stacks up a sticky napalm. Here comes Young. He is level 4. He's got the ability maybe to get Ohio here. Mushi, meanwhile, he's got the double kill. He actually picks off Luna from long range with an excellent power shot, max rank, and he'll head off towards the east. Unlikely to get picked off here. No mana on Vengeful Spirit. Again, that's very, very unfortunate. Scream of Pain coming out. Actually, Young dodges the Burrow Strike quite aptly, and Net at least won't be able to get the kill, even if he does Burrow Strike his, he does Sandstorm his way to safety.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, not actually that many kills on top, or maybe, you know, fewer than there could have been. Again, I think weird decision making from ErH, you know, missing out on the Eclipse. That was kind of we can call it a whiff, I guess, right? That was definitely a pretty big whiff on the Eclipse. So there are kills. I mean, there are 2 kills that could have been on ErH's side of the board right now. It could be 5-3, or would even probably be like 2-3 or 4-3. Yeah, because they wouldn't have lost everybody top. So, well, on the top rune.
Yeah. But
it's still doing okay. I mean, the offlane Queen of Pain with the Sand King away did manage to get a couple of levels, but I mean, right now it's just sort of sitting up top. They've already lost the tier 1 bot, so nice decision. They're going to send the Luna down there to start soaking up some experience of her own.
Give her another solo lane's worth of XP, of course. Her leveling situation, not so bad, even with the death. She is leveled on par with KYXY, although the farm difference is a little scary. KYXY actually terrifyingly efficient farm. 53 for 17 in 8 minutes, and that's including a lane rotation. This is actually almost as much farm as you can possibly get with this gyro. So, actually, hookshot coming through, Extinct lockdown already on the ground, but Vengeful Spirit pretty low. Ohio coming in, lifted up with the telekinesis, but just no HP on this Rubik and Venge to survive from this. Mao lasso, he doesn't make it out if you're alive. 3 kills for Orange in response to 1, and the loop around the tier 1. Luna safe to farm for now, but the rest of her team in kind of dire straits once again.
Yeah, and I mean, the gank wasn't okay. So the fact that it was a 5-man from Orange wasn't necessarily obvious, but the fact that the gank was coming was kind of yeah, he's
shackle
gone.
shot, burrow strike, and he's on the ground extremely quickly. Very nice shackle from Mushi there, and just very well timed with the rotation from that. Sorry, I interrupted you. The ErH.
No. Of course, action's going on. I'll shut my trap. But yeah. I mean, the thing is, ErH, they have a little bit of vision here and there, but they could see that nobody was mid, nobody was bot.
Right.
Orange have to be somewhere. They have to be doing something. They have to be on the map somewhere. So long as they're alive. So maybe weren't expecting the 5-man. Weren't expecting the big dive, but yeah, I think had to have their suspicions raised a little bit more, and they're kind of playing scared Dota right now. The reason that the experience difference is as big as it is because they're just keeping 4 or 5 heroes together at all times, and that means that Orange are just strictly out farming them. And I mean, this 4 or 5-man, it's kind of lumbering, it's kind of slow, and it's kind of easy for Orange to see coming. I mean, they've got the deep wards going. They're just seeing wherever the 5-man goes, and they just avoid it and continue farming. So
you could see that.
Orange making all the right moves.
Yeah, as soon as ErH masked up to try to head south out of the jungle and catch Mushi, you immediately saw Orange marking the mini-map with the column that was advancing out of the jungle. So smart warding, definitely smarter. I mean, ErH have no wards up on the map at all, so really not able to get any vision of what's not directly in front of their noses, and so Orange is able to kind of outposition them and be very, very safe when they need to be and aggressive when they need to be. They do have hook shot. I mean, telekinesis up on KYXY. There's the magic missile. Much better stun coordination that time. Eclipse once again missing, but the hook shot comes in. Mushi with a quick shackle shot. Cogs may actually expire. He doesn't quite make it out of it. Windrun is up. He actually walks towards. Oh, what a stun from Net. Here comes the epicenter, already picking off 2. Maybe Mao doesn't walk out of here either. Mushi continuing to fight. There's the shackle shot just for the low duration. He takes out 1. He's going to take 2 power shot misses. I shouldn't have spoken so soon. He might use Windrun to chase? No. But still, 3 on the ground for ErH, and Net just wiping the floor with that team there. They really thought they had Mushi, and just Windrun enough to get him away and epicenter enough to make them unhappy that they ever tried.
Yeah, that was a brutal. I mean, that was a brutal burrow strike. I don't think there's any other way to say it. Oh, and YR gets dragged back. Blink Dagger ready up on Ohio, and Shackle just to insult to injury for the Rubik there. So Orange, another tower, another kill, and just looking great right now, frankly.
Orange definitely looking like they want this 2-0, and they're well within their rights to take it at this point. ErH. Levels are becoming a serious issue. Again, Luna, I mean, she's still doing okay, but the complete inability to shut down Mushi and the fact that every time they try to kill him, he ends up getting a double or a triple kill, now leads to Windrunner being 2 levels above anybody else on the map, phase boots and mechanisms. So it's really backfired. When you try to delegate so much attention to a team star player and all you end up doing is kind of feeding him, you end up in a far worse position than if you had just ignored him, basically. And the other thing is the Rubik really needs 6, and I don't know where he gets it, because they're running out of space to safely farm, and Orange not to respond to it.
Yeah, the problem for ErH was, and I guess I mentioned this a little bit in the draft, was that we saw the Vengeful Spirit, and then I said, okay, let's hopefully get another ganking support, and we'll see ErH be aggressive on the map, right? Yep. But there's a tri-lane bot, the Batrider was in the jungle to start, so the only person that they could really gank was Mushi, right? And that kind of makes it obvious when you've only got one avenue to potentially chase down. It makes it really obvious to Orange what you're going to do, and so Mushi could just say, well, they're going to gank me, and I'll just avoid it.
Oh, what a lasso. Ohio blinking in the low ground. Young going to get wiped up.
Exploded.
Mushi. I don't even know. Oh, what a shackle shot.
Oh, the shackle.
That's actually pretty sick. Flame break to push back, and that'll be an easy mob up on you. So he's gotten good magic wand usages, but it's not quite enough, because at this point the damage output of Orange is just too much for you to just trivially be able to counter it. They used their fortification about 2 minutes ago, and so Extinct getting almost the full duration of his level 2 Diabolic getting up on that tower. Mushi lifted up, he's still got Windrun available, of course. Magic Missile comes out, hookshot from the side. Ohio's locked in here, but at least for now. He walks out, of course, Firefly, pretty good counter. Oh, what a shackle! 2 locked in, Clockwork, the splitter. Mushi still chasing, using his haste rune, and actually Gyrocopter getting the last hit just with a flat cannon onto that Vengeful Spirit. YR and Young sitting back, not a lot that they can do here. Sonic Wave already thrown out, but of course, this is a level 6 Queen of Pain at 13 minutes. Probably one of the worst levels to have on Quap at this point. Of course, he had a nearly impossible lane to deal with, but still not a happy situation by any means. Net, meanwhile, completely ignored that fight. He's just grinding up his Blink Dagger. I think he gets it when he clears out this lane with Burrow Strike with this jungle camp. Oh, he's just using his Caustic Finale. And yeah, that'll be Blink, I think.
Wow, so that's another Blink, pretty much, for Orange, and yeah, that's kind of nightmare mode for ErH. Again, I'd like to remind, well, I guess have a very quick note that ErH first picked this Clockwork, didn't they? I feel like that was their first pick. So I don't know. I think maybe that put their lanes in a bit of a weird situation. Again, okay, here's the thing, right? Queen of Pain, and obviously quintessential mid. Great snowball hero, everybody can talk about that. But the real big thing about mid is that it's pretty much uncontested levels. Yes, the other hero can deny you quite a bit, but there's not really that much that slows you down in terms of leveling, and that's really what Quap is all about. On the off lane, she gets levels, but not quickly enough to be dominant with them. So, if we'd had somebody else...
Oh, here's a fight. Yang actually getting less on. This is a fight they basically asked for, but they're getting killed apart already. The call down comes down, not hitting too many, but Epicenter will clean up 1. 3 on the ground, and they smoked into this, but unfortunately Orange just vacated the space and then just plowed right back in there, taking ErH out once again. And yeah, I agree. When you first pick Clockwork and then you take a Queen of Pain on top, usually you'd want to have some sort of very well-developed strategy, and I think you pointed out at the time, Biscuit, that they were being very, very reactive, and so I feel that, yeah, that's part of the problem of why ErH, they have a bunch of heroes, but at no point did it feel like it really gelled into a coherent approach or a lineup or even solid laning.
Yeah, and it's just... Yeah, I mean, Orange sort of... another really nice shot.
They're going to try to fight out Mushi here. Nice Eclipse, actually, the swap as well. Dumping way too many ultimates into that, but whatever, I don't blame them. Queen of Pain with the Script, and they might actually get KYXY, so 2 for 2 trades so far, kind of even favoring ErH, but the Luna in quite a bit of trouble. Ohio is warded off. Here comes the Lightning Storm from Leshrac, and Ohio forced to run. Queen of Pain chasing Yang with a very nice continued chase there. They actually get the... Oh, Luna, why'd you come out there? No, comma, Mao does get a pickoff, so actually this is a 4 for 3 trade, I guess. They're going to try to chase Net. I don't know that they can do it without hookshot, so... Yeah, Net actually making himself felt a little bit. He's got this Blink Dagger in 3 seconds. Yeah, he doesn't care. He's staying right in here. The dust comes out. He blinks away. So a completely wasted dust for ErH there, unfortunately. Didn't reckon with the Sand King's blink. Wow, Net cares so little. He doesn't even think they're going to pursue him. He stops moving. He's just going to read.
He just sits on the hill. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yep. I'll tab.
Yep.
I mean, he almost managed to lay a trap there, right? There was a creep wave coming down. They were on pretty low HP. He put the caustic up on 2 creeps and was just waiting for someone to challenge him, and so they could burrow strike through the 2 creeps and jump the hero as well. So Net, yeah, I think Mao sort of saw that coming and just walked away, but
sure,
really nicely played by him. But ErH, they defend. They don't lose their axe. They're still up.
No,
but AS.
Oh, Nova. Yep, there's the Burrow Strike. Ohio will blink to the back. He actually lassos the Dimensional Spirit because they're just so confident that this Luna's dead. Hookshot, unfortunately, missing. He has landed most of his hooks, so that's a little bit of props that we can give to Clockwork. But Net, that rank 4 Burrow Strike, just impossible to escape from if you're Luna and you start on the low ground and Sand King has a blink. Can't even blame her except for the positioning. I mean, after that, you're not going to get away. And without Luna, without Vengeful Spirit, they don't have buyback. Actually, they do have buyback for the Luna, comically enough, but not sure if they'll even bother using it, as Orange are going to barrel down this Rax extremely quickly. KYXY sieging it up. His BKB is done. He's got a 10-second charge. Actually, if they're going to fortify, they might as well buy back the Luna. Why not? KYXY, he gets a little bit drained by the cogs. Here comes the Black Cannon coming through on YR and the Vengeful Spirit. They drop as quickly as they came back up. Young's going to have to blink in 2 seconds. He might make it back to the fountain. Maybe. Yes, he will. So, I guess good news in a bad situation, but they do lose the middle set of barracks. Orange is just going to rotate. They're at the top right now, but they probably need to go to the bottom if they want more barracks. There's the Shackle Shot, another Burrow Strike. Mouch is still up using his Magic Wand. I like that they pretty much all have Magic Wands, because that's actually a decent equalizer against a team that spams spells. Like, basically all of Orange's heroes are spell spammers, so this is a good game to get Magic Wands in. They use a Dust again. Oh man, these Eclipses. That's the one thing that really disappoints me. Not a single one of these Eclipses has been worth even casting. Now, hookshotting from the back, they're trying to capture Mushi once again. The homing missile hits on Young. They're all extremely low. I think Flat Cannon mops them up, but hey, at least you killed Windrunner. That's something.
Long
That's the victory. Ruin Mushi's KDA, I think, is the
Right.
is the game plan.
Okay, well, actually, I locked in. I think they trade him for Clockwork here. Actually, no. Mao lives with 23 HP, so once again, ErH with an honor victory. At least they get Orange out of their base. They don't get Fountain Farm.
Yeah. So they get maybe 30 seconds of farm. We'll see if that actually affords them an item anywhere. I don't think it does. I think Orange are ready to head straight back in. But a nice little fight. Obviously, kind of because Orange dove past the tier 4s and we're fighting right outside the fountain. But you know, still nicely done. You know, cute plays to save the Clockwork as well when it looked like he was going to die to the gyrocopter. But yeah, I think Orange just find their feet and they are going to be straight back at it. And yeah, like just smoking down the middle lane. They are just unrelenting.
The fact is that I think ErH simply aren't on Orange's level, which is no shame for a team, honestly. You're talking about, again, you're talking about one of the best teams in the world. To not be on their level, to even have the opportunity to contest your strike against them, it's pretty great. Here's the stun coming on here, actually. Young with the Shadow Strike there, so just responds to the BKB. This calldown could be a big impact. Nice stun once again from Net. I mean, this Sanking play has been absolutely enormous. Now locked down inside of his own cogs. Suddenly, they're not trapped in there with him, he's trapped in there with them, and that's 3 on the ground again. Orange gonna mop it up from there.
Yeah, so I think Orange kind of closed it out here. There's no buybacks left. There's no saving grace. No Hail Mary for ErH. So I think that might be it. I mean, but again, I think you made a very good point in that Orange. Everybody's heard of Orange, right? You know, anyone who watches Southeast Asian Dota, anybody who watches Dota is going to be able to tell you who Orange are. Maybe they can't tell you exactly who plays for them, but they know who the team is. ErH, before yesterday, before today, I'd never heard of them. You know, they're not a team that I'm familiar with, but I can already see that, you know, they've got probably the ability to beat some of the other teams in Southeast Asia. You know, not necessarily the first position and the second position, but they are definitely contenders, and I think had a pretty good showing today. So I'm looking forward to seeing more, honestly.
Definitely. I'm still very interested, honestly, in tomorrow's ErH versus CCKG games, because I think that is two teams that are both fairly promising. Probably, oh my god, that's horrible. I wasn't going to play-by-play the fountain farming, but I just had to pause to note that that is an incredibly painful episode that just went through all of Orange. And actually, Net began his refresher by the end of that. I mean, that or Battle Fury. We saw from Blitz's stream the other day that Sanking Battle Fury is clearly legit. If only it applied Caustic Finale to everything that you please, but it doesn't.
I don't even want to think about that.
That would be a great patch change, actually. If Ice Frog wants to make Carry Sand King a thing, Caustic Finale applying to every hit of the Battle Fury is the way to go, in my opinion.
I don't know, what if you stand in Sandstorm for more than 3 seconds, the Caustic Finale is applied to you?
Sick. I like this. I like this a lot.
I mean, if it was only 1 second or something, then that would be just brutal. That would be way too tough. Yeah, but maybe a couple seconds.
But yeah, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. If you
this is why I'm not in charge of balance, obviously.
Oh, they might actually get Net. Nope. That 1.5 seconds is so pretty freaking good. Wow, did he actually get friendly force stabbed into the fountain there? Yeah, yes, he did. Yes. That was Mushi trolling a little bit.
Orange always mess with each other at the end of games.
Yeah,
I think we had one game where Orange, one of them bought back, and then Boots have traveled to a creep, and Chen just sent him straight back to base and said, go home.
That's awesome. Alright, so that'll be our first series of the day. Orange take it out over ErH 2-0, which, I mean, ErH, they did okay, but we clearly see who the favorite to win the group was. And Orange, I think with that win, they are, if not guaranteed, then extremely close to guaranteed to advancing out of Group C and sending themselves to the 12-team LAN final, July 12th through 14th. This is Beyond the Summit 2, covering the ECL group stages. I am Vikramon, my co-caster is Basecap. We will be back for the next series. Will you be around in the next series?
Yep, definitely.
Fantastic. That'll be in... God, I have so much trouble with the schedule. I think an hour and a half or so. So there'll be a short break on stream, folks. I probably will put some music up. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are signing off, Basecap, you want to talk about your Twitter?
Oh, right. So if anyone wants to give me feedback as far as this cast is concerned, then basekipdota@gmail.com is probably your best contact. And then my Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube are all under the name of Baseskip. So anyone who wants to go track me down there, I would definitely appreciate some support. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Alrighty. And of course, I'm Vikramon. My website is www.vykromond.com. You can also find me under that name Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, basically wherever Vickerman goods are sold. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next series will be CCKD versus Rising Stars. So Rising Stars, of course, considered to be the second favorite to win the group, but CCKD looked pretty promising, honestly. Their team is sponsored by Great Wall Broadband Service. That's actually what their name is. It's just CCKD because I think it's the pinyin for what I just said, and we'll have to see how that game goes, because honestly, CCKD looked good yesterday, to the point where if you think that Orange were trolling here, you should watch yesterday's games, or maybe don't, actually, on second thought. But we'll see how they do against our Stars in just a minute. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll rejoin you in a little while.